Hello everyone, this is James Shore with another test-driven development video. Today is June 30th. I'm picking up where I left off in the last episode, and what I was doing was I just finished spiking the MIG layout and getting that to work. And here we can see the spike. It's got rows and columns and so forth, and it resizes and lays out properly. What I had just done in the video was nothing more than getting the MIG layout to show up as the layout manager. And when I left off, it wasn't working because I just had the wrong class path in my run script, my batch file essentially. So now you can see, so I fixed that, and now you can see what happens when I actually run with the layout. Now what I need to do next is I need to set up all the constraints to make this show up properly. And to be honest, I'm not sure how to approach this. There's a bunch of constraints I want to do that makes it go from this to this, where everything's showing up nicely. It's all text-based for MIG layout, which is kind of a nice thing about MIG layout. It parses your text and then applies the appropriate constraints, which makes it work really well for writing the layout directly rather than using a tool. So I need to tell it to fill in the horizontal direction, and that I want to wrap after the 6th cell, which means I'll have 3 columns of, text, and then text field, and then label, and then text field. And then here, this tells it how to align things and which cells to grow and so forth. And that's all very visual stuff. That controls the appearance. So the question in my mind is, how do I test that? Do I want to test it at all? And that's a tough one. I don't know if I do want to test it. Something that I've considered doing for HTML projects is actually taking a screenshot of the layout and doing something in the style of Llewellyn Falco's what's his name of his tool? I think it's called the acceptance test, and it's not an acceptance test, it's accept framework or something like that. Basically the idea is that it compares the previous result to the current result, and if they've changed, it would show you the difference. So the idea for layout being that we could take a picture, and then if it doesn't change, the test pass. If it does change, we show the user the change and ask them to approve it. Anyway, so that's one way of dealing with layout, and the problem is that's just a huge amount of work to figure out how to make that happen, and I don't think I want to spend the time on that right now. So the other option would be to do it in the way I've been doing it, which is sort of just asserting on what I've got. I'm not sure how well that will work with the MIG layout though. So, I guess what I should do is take a look at that. So let's see let's take a look at the Java doc and see what we can see. So here we've got the swing layout manager. So it looks like what we can do, assuming everything follows this pattern, it looks like what we can do is we can just get out the same constraints we put in, which doesn't have a huge amount of value. It's the problem with the way we've been doing the testing on all of our UI, which is that we're not testing the actual behavior that we're creating. We're just testing the lines of code. We're reflecting the lines of code exactly, which is a very shallow, not very useful sort of test. So, I mean, the test will break if we change the production code, but anything other than a very trivial refactoring will also cause the test to break, and that's not particularly valuable. But I don't see another way of doing it, to be honest. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say, I'm going to go ahead and work with that. So let's see. Yeah, layout constraints. So let's go ahead. To start with, since we're only going to do dollars to start with, because we don't have a way of doing the years or the interest rates yet, I'm just going to add, right now what do we have? We have starting balance. I want to add cost basis and I want to add yearly spending one at a time. So let's just start by putting in one column and the fill X. So yeah, let's assert that let's start with that. If we look at this, we can see it's not filling properly. So let's start out and just say that it needs to fill. So if we go into our configuration panel test, should be fairly trivial to do. We'll call this, call it layout. Actually, it's a layout manager. We're going to, let's assert that for our layout constraints, we're going to expect it to say fill X. Okay, and that should fail. But then putting the appropriate constraints in is trivial. And then, of course, because we're not actually testing the behavior, we have to make sure it shows up properly. And it doesn't, which is a little disappointing. I expected that to work. Why did it not work? Okay, well, we have the layout, but now we need to tell the field to grow. So here, we need to say grow. Yeah, that does it. Or rather, what we want is we want to set the column constraints to say grow. We'll start with just grow, and then we'll add in the more sophisticated stuff in a moment. So we expect to say grow, and it didn't. So that worked. Okay. But actually the correct answer is not grow, but grow like that, which tells it that it's the first column. If you have more than one column, you put each one in brackets. Still not working. Okay, let's take a look at our spike. What do we do here? Grow. That's correct. Oh, and then we also need to put grow X on the text field. Do we? Yeah, apparently we do. Well, in that case, if we put grow x here, do we really need grow here? Apparently we do. We need it in both places. Yeah. All right. Well, now I know. So we need this to say grow, which it does. And I believe that passes. But not only that, we need the constraint for this first starting balance field to also say grow. Oh, and let's bring back TDD. Okay, so and the constraint for the starting balance field well, we wouldn't need it to be grow x for now. And I believe the way we get that is we say manager.get component constraints starting balance field. There might be a better way of doing that. I don't know if that's going to work or not. Well, it failed. Expected grow x was null. And here, we'll pass in grow x. See if that works. It does work. Interesting. Let's see if it does it show up. Oops, wrong one. Does it show up properly here? It does. There we go. Excuse me. So you can see there's this huge amount of white space around the sides. That's something that I can tweak in the future. But that is working properly, so that's good. I wonder if there's a way of just asking the starting balance field for its constraint. We say get constraint or something like that. Waiting for Eclipse to catch up with me. Okay. No, it doesn't look like there's any way of getting the constraint here. I think that's a property of the layout manager. Okay, so there we go. Okay. So we've gotten that much done. I think what's next is for us to get the label in there. We've only got a few seconds left for this video though. So I think we'll pick that up next time. Thanks everybody for watching. I will catch you next time.